We're just 5 months into 2023, and so far, 2 of the most exciting games have turned out to be absolute
We've shown a commitment to disappointing the Xbox community.
Just a couple of days ago, though, Redfall released, and it has already managed to outperform Star Wars Jedi Survivor in terms of being
Come on! We got this!
$70 for a vibrant PowerPoint presentation that has a chance to break your PC might be the biggest disaster of 2023. Yeah, this is pretty insane. Literally 10 seconds into the game, you find a guy that has managed to die twice in 2 different locations. But that's still probably more enjoyable than actually playing the game. However, the real problem with Redfall is huge, and it isn't a one-off. Even in the build-up to its release, worrying signs kept creeping up, like having to have an online connection permanently just to play single player, pretty terrible looking gameplay showcases, and the game being locked to 30 FPS on Xbox with no option for 60 FPS. That's absolutely insane for a AAA game releasing in 2023. Of course, with any big game failure, the big CEO has come out to publicly apologize for his continuous lapse in judgment.
Yeah, we remain confident.
Oh, and he also doesn't look at the review scores. But his entire response was actually okay. He essentially put all the blame on himself, but also said they seriously didn't feel as if Redfall needed to be delayed. Yeah, I know we all make fun of how often games get delayed to the point where some don't even get released. But Redfall and kind of Jedi Survivor, but not really anymore, will be good examples to AAA developers that charging more money for the game than the amount of FPS you get per minute in the game is absolutely criminal. And honestly, it's not necessarily the developers that are at fault here. At the end of the day, they are just following orders from the supposedly smart fellas up top, and apparently that doesn't always work out very well. A lot of people are drawing parallels between Sea of Thieves' initial release to this, but the difference is with Sea of Thieves is it had what's the word, substance, a vision, and I just don't see that with Redfall. And yes, I may have requested a refund after spending 7 hours installing the game, but I genuinely have no regrets, and I advise you guys to pick it up on the Game Pass if you really want to check it out. But it seems the better idea with most of these games is to just wait 9 months, let it have a baby, and just come back when it's fresh, half price, and filled with microtransactions to fulfill your dopamine release. But it's very obvious this game is going to have a significant impact on the rest of those big games releasing this year. I can already see those Starfield devs shitting their pants, begging those cigar-smoking CEOs to give them 4 more years. But for indie games, this is actually probably great. Like, I'll probably spend those Redfall buckaroos on the It's Raining Men bundle. What about Redfall's other issues, apart from the FPS? Well, the world is empty. It feels like an alpha. Bodies are copy and pasted everywhere. AI is, there. But what caused all of this? Maybe overambition, short on people, too much hype, terrible ideas? Did the developers just not want to make the game? Something has obviously gone terribly wrong. But the audacity to still release it without a delay at $70, do an interview saying sorry and then calling it a day is crazy. After Arcane Studios released Prey, a game that performed decently well, their lead creative developer left and took a lot of their former devs with them. So obviously that pretty positive reputation that Arcane Studios had before was still there, but with half the people missing. And while we'll probably never know why this game was an absolute shitfest, it's sure to get better over time. I hope. I'm playing it for free on the Game Pass now, and I still feel absolutely ripped off. This might be the first $70 game with AI that can't walk around obstacles, and bosses that can't even get on containers, but I somehow don't think it'll be the last, even for this year. And yes, most games are buggy messes when they first release. But Redfall isn't just a buggy mess. It is quite literally a dysfunctional game with hands for legs. I managed to find some of the weirdest most bugs that people have experienced on Reddit and YouTube, and it's genuinely insane. Render issues, game crashes when checking inventory, unstable FPS, genuinely brainless AI in every single way possible. Everything is way too easy. The AI are literally mostly 1 or 2 hits. Nothing really worth obtaining. The automatic rifle is actually a semi-automatic rifle. Enemies sometimes just fall through the world. People have had to reset their PC because of what playing the game did to it. I take that one with a grain of salt because that might just be idiots. Ammo numbers are often just completely wrong. The game literally cannot count. Weapon textures are basically Play-Doh. The game sometimes shows you loot that doesn't actually exist. The burst rifle doesn't burst unless you actually hold it. You cannot change your aim sensitivity. And all of those are literally just the tip of this depressing iceberg. Oh, and the Cyberpunk T-pose is officially back in Redfall in all of its beautiful glory. I mean, the game's autosave sometimes just doesn't work. It's genuinely like the developers have just decided that bugs are going to be a feature in this game as another type of enemy. But the great thing about game development is that bugs are fixable, and this isn't the end of the road for Redfall, but rather just a big ass sign in the middle of the road saying if you don't drive really fast right now, you'll probably fall into a very deep sinkhole. The great thing about the gaming community though is that if the bugs are fixed and the premise of Redfall actually becomes interesting and worthwhile playing, most people will just forget about this disaster, and I think higher ups know this. Obviously not everybody hates Redfall, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't just shit all over the game for the last 5 minutes. So what's actually good about Redfall? Anyways, long story short, buy it on the Game Pass. And if you do have $70, then I don't know, spend it on like 5 packs of these 100 Jaffa Cake boxes instead. Probably more worth it.
We're still working on the 60 frames per second.